When the world learned that Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban were ending their 19-year marriage, it wasn't just another Hollywood breakup, it was heartbreak on a global scale. They were the couple everyone believed had beaten the odds, a love story written in lights and music. But now, at 58, Nicole has finally broken her silence, and what she revealed isn't just the reason for their split. It's a confession that exposes the pain, the pressure, and the truth behind one of Hollywood's most admired marriages. Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban's love story began like a Hollywood dream, dazzling, unexpected, and destined to leave a mark. It was January 2005, at the Glamorous Day USA Gala in Los Angeles, where two of Australia's brightest stars crossed paths. Nicole, already an Oscar-winning icon, carried the poise of someone the world adored. Keith, a country artist rising fast through the ranks, carried a quiet fire that drew her in instantly. That night wasn't just an introduction, it was fate setting the stage. Nicole later confessed that she felt something the moment she met him, a pull she couldn't explain. But while her heart stirred quickly, Keith stayed distant, saying little, doing nothing. Weeks turned into months of silence, leaving Nicole to wonder if the connection had been one-sided. She had fallen for a man who hadn't even called. But when Keith Urban finally reached out, he did it in a way that erased every doubt. On Nicole's birthday, long before dawn broke over New York City, he showed up at her apartment door, 5 a.m., flowers in hand, eyes filled with something real. That moment didn't just impress her, it changed her life. Because from that morning on, it was clear, this wasn't just a romance. It was the beginning of something powerful, fragile, and unforgettable. He stood at her doorstep holding a bouquet of gardenias, flowers that spoke of purity, love, and devotion. For Nicole, that moment dissolved every wall she had built around her heart. As she later admitted, I was a goner. From that morning on, she knew this wasn't just chemistry, it was destiny. Their love blossomed fast and fierce. By May 2006, Keith got down on one knee, and Nicole said yes without hesitation. Just a month later, on June 25, they exchanged vows in a candlelit church in Sydney, Australia. Surrounded by family, friends, and the soft glow of flickering candles, it was a union that felt both sacred and cinematic. Nicole's children from her marriage to Tom Cruise stood by her side, symbolizing not just a new beginning, but the blending of two worlds. The photos captured a couple glowing with a love that looked unshakable, eternal. But behind the fairy tale, reality crept in. Only months after the wedding, Keith checked himself into rehab, confronting his long battle with addiction. It was a moment that could have shattered everything they had just built. Yet instead of walking away, Nicole chose to fight beside him. She became his anchor when the world seemed to spin out of control, proving that love, at least then, meant staying even when it hurt. That choice strengthened their connection and highlighted the depth of her dedication. They confronted addiction and the intense scrutiny of public expectations at a young age. However, what appeared to be victories of love also served as reminders of challenges that lay ahead. The love story of Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban transcended a typical Hollywood romance. It represented a partnership that encompassed both the brilliance of red carpet appearances and the burden of personal struggles. By the time they wed, Nicole was already a mother to Isabella and Connor, the children she had adopted with Tom Cruise. Beginning a new chapter with Keith allowed her to grow her family and rediscover the sense of home she had yearned for. In 2008, they celebrated the arrival of their first daughter, Sunday Rose. 2 years later, their second daughter, Faith Margaret, joined the family. With 4 children in total, the Kidman-Urban household transformed into a vibrant blended family filled with love, energy, and responsibilities. Nicole frequently described motherhood as her anchor, referring to it as the role that kept her grounded amidst her global fame. She welcomed the opportunity to become a mother again later in life, valuing the joy and wisdom it brought her. Keith reflected these sentiments in his music, crafting songs that subtly honored Nicole and their daughters, reminding fans that beyond his celebrity status, he was a committed husband and father. Meanwhile, both of their careers continued to flourish. Nicole, already one of Hollywood's most esteemed actresses, embarked on a new phase in her career. She embraced challenging roles that highlighted her versatility, from Rabbit Hole, which earned her another Academy Award nomination, to Big Little Lies, which garnered her Golden Globe and Emmy accolades. With each performance, she solidified her reputation not just as a film star but also as a formidable force in television, demonstrating her capacity to adapt to the evolving entertainment industry. As Keith's career soared, he became more than just a country artist, he became a global phenomenon. His albums dominated the charts, his concerts filled entire stadiums, and his name became synonymous with raw talent and electric performance. Grammy Awards, CMA honors, and sold-out world tours turned him into one of the defining voices of modern country music. And when he joined American Idol as a judge, his warmth and wit won over millions more, transforming him from a country star into a household name. Through it all, his songs carried whispers of his real life, of Nicole. Many of his lyrics were love letters in disguise, tender reflections of their bond, struggles, and devotion. But success came with a price. Nicole's demanding film career often took her across continents, from London to Australia to far corners of the US, while Keith's relentless touring schedule kept him miles away from home. Between movie sets and concert stages, they fought to stay connected. Their love lived in midnight video calls, handwritten letters, and whirlwind flights for fleeting weekends together. Despite the chaos, they made one promise: family would always come first. Whether it meant bringing their daughters along on the road or stealing quiet moments behind closed doors, they did everything they could to keep love alive in a life always on the move. Nevertheless, the distance remained a persistent shadow. The couple exuded commitment and affection in public. On the red carpet, they were frequently spotted holding hands, speaking to each other at award shows, or sharing tender looks that the cameras eagerly recorded. In interviews, Nicole frequently lauded Keith, referring to him as her deep, deep love and citing their marriage as the greatest thing that had ever happened to her. In return, Keith wrote songs and tributes that expressed his appreciation for her in his life. They appeared to represent a unique form of long-lasting Hollywood romance to both fans and the press. But beyond the glitz, problems remained. Even prior to their wedding, Keith had been battling substance misuse. And he entered a treatment facility just a few months after they were married. An important turning point in their relationship was Nicole's choice to support him no matter what. Keith later acknowledged how close they were to losing everything during this period and acknowledged that he almost ruined the marriage. Their tenacity at that time became a part of their legacy as a couple, demonstrating that devotion and love could withstand even the most trying circumstances. They accomplished remarkable accomplishment and had a lovely family. However, their foundation's silent fissures widened. What appeared flawless to the outside world was actually much more brittle. Eventually, it was impossible to overlook those flaws. The life they had created together began to change in ways neither of them could fully control as their emotional and physical separation widened. Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban were able to integrate their hard occupations into their marriage for many years. Despite the difficulties of foreign tours and Hollywood schedules, they frequently discussed finding time for each other. But eventually the fissures showed. Nicole also kept taking on big acting roles that needed her to travel for extended periods of time, such as filming practical magic in foreign locations like London. Keith, meantime, was dedicated to his High and Alive Globe tour, which took him from nation to nation and city to city. Their time apart seemed to outweigh their time together as the length and frequency of their separations increased. Subtle but obvious signs of their problems leaked into the public domain. After being questioned about Nicole hanging up before the conversation could continue, Keith abruptly halted a radio appearance, which fans noticed. Once bursting with loving tributes, anniversary posts on social media became shorter, more aloof, or disappeared entirely. Keith appeared uneasy when asked about their relationship during interviews, as though he didn't want to reveal the details of a tale that was developing behind the scenes. The quiet was a powerful statement for a couple who had previously been so outspoken about their love and affection. The physical distance and lack of affection during public occasions further strengthened the feeling that something had changed between them. Nicole, who had always felt that she should support her husband no matter what, was left feeling as though she had been abandoned. Once seemingly resilient to celebrity, distance, and addiction, the marriage was now failing in ways that were no longer concealable. Although their love remained, it was no longer sufficient to hold them together. According to reports, Nicole Kidman and their daughters were living in the family house when Keith Urban moved out during the early summer of 2025. It might have appeared to the outside world as just another stage of hectic schedules and professional commitments. Insiders, however, recognized it was a purposeful step away and something far more. Nicole attempted to save what they had, still hoping to patch the gaps. She reached for the connection they used to have, leaned on family, and had faith that their relationship could weather another storm. However, such attempts met with resistance. According to others close to her, she was taken aback by how fast Keith started to create his own reality, one that wasn't centered on their marriage. It was more than just living apart for Nicole. It had to do with what the decision represented. She knew that was the beginning of the end. Late September 2025 was the last straw. After 19 years of marriage, Nicole filed for divorce on September 30th, claiming that she could not reconcile their differences. Fans who had always regarded them as one of Hollywood's most indestructible couples, a duo that had withstood years of separation, the demands of celebrity, and struggles with addiction, were taken aback by the move. Behind the well-maintained public front, however, the marriage had devolved into something neither of them could maintain. Even after the divorce papers were completed, there were still a lot of issues to resolve. In late September 2025, the legal aspects of Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban's divorce started to take shape. The texts first used the well-known phrase, irreconcilable differences. It is the typical language used in innumerable celebrity divorces, selected for simplicity and privacy reasons alike. However, it was evident to those who had followed their journey, the Sydney candlelight wedding, and the family's joint struggles that the phrase hid much deeper traumas. The couple's two daughters, Sunday, now 17, and Faith, 14, were at the center of the divorce petition. Kidman is reportedly expected to take on the position of primary residential parent, which she has done for the most of their marriage despite juggling parenting and movie production. According to the custody arrangement, Urban will have around 59 days of the year with the children and she will have about 306 days. The practical demands of their jobs are reflected in this arrangement, but it also captures the fact that Nicole has always been the foundation of the children's stability. Nevertheless, when reduced to paper, such figures show the glaring split of a family that formerly flourished together. The process now includes the split of assets and financial matters in addition to custody. Due to their remarkable professions, Kidman and Urban both own numerous properties located all over the world, from Beverly Hills to New York, and from Nashville to Sydney. Once symbols of common aspirations, these houses are now assets to be divided in the legal proceedings. According to reports, the couple has decided to forego spousal support, indicating that they are both financially independent and ready to leave the hassles of alimony behind. The structure of property partition is obvious, but the specifics are still being worked out. Once interwoven on many levels, their lives are now being disentangled one by one. Nicole Kidman's disclosures following her divorce from Keith Urban have exposed the fragility and unvarnished honesty of a woman who has experienced both the highs and lows of their seemingly ideal marriage. For many years, the public witnessed harmony, two highly regarded Australians, raising a family and juggling their dazzling careers. However, Nicole now acknowledges in private that the fissures had been growing for a long time prior to the final split. She feels betrayed, which is one of the most startling admissions. This sentiment, which she has expressed through close confidants, is not only a result of Keith's behavior but also of the way some decisions were made, perhaps suddenly and possibly without the candor she had anticipated from a partner of almost 20 years. For example, she was allegedly taken by surprise when they decided to live apart. Nicole felt betrayed not only by the actual separation but also by the breakdown of the communication and trust that had previously underpinned their relationship. Additionally, she has discussed irreconcilable disagreements with greater authority than the legal records ever indicated. These distinctions weren't abstract to her. They were about safety, respect, and emotional support. The foundation of a long-lasting union. Without those underpinnings, love, no matter how profound, could not endure. Nicole is acknowledging something that many people are afraid to publicly acknowledge. That what is essentially broken cannot be fixed by love alone. Another factor that has contributed to her readiness to speak so candidly is timing. At 58, Nicole is no longer the newlywed defending a shaky marriage or the young star negotiating the demands of Hollywood. She has more experience, is more grounded, and has more authority. This maturity enables her to speak up about things she would have previously accepted, to acknowledge the shortcomings of the marriage, and to put her own and her children's health ahead of appearances. Her confessions are not without humility, though. According to reports, Nicole admitted her part, implying the difficulties of a marriage in the public eye. Her insight on unfulfilled needs, however, is what most impresses. Instances when her emotional truth was downplayed or she felt ignored. This introspection demonstrates her conviction that mutual respect and acknowledgement, rather than perfection, are the foundation of a successful marriage. The most important lesson, in her opinion, is to choose genuineness over appearance. Nicole has stated that she prefers honesty and independence above upholding the appearance of a perfect partnership at this point in her life. Her admissions focus more on the truth than on assigning blame. She expressed the truth without worrying about being judged. Her narrative is reframed by her bravery in speaking what many would keep private. She is defining divorce according to her own standards, providing a viewpoint of development, education, and fortitude. Divorce papers are not the end of Nicole Kidman's journey. She might be defined more by what happens next than by her 19 years with Keith Urban. Nicole is reportedly turning to her sister Antonia, who has long served as her rock in trying times, in the immediate wake of the breakup. She still prioritizes her family, particularly her daughters. Faith and Sunday. According to others close to her, even when their family structure shifts, her top objective right now is to give them security, affection, and a sense of security. Nicole's future is as intriguing from a professional standpoint. After decades of recognition, she may now choose her employment more carefully at the age of 58. According to some sources, she might choose introspective or personal projects, as well as narratives that highlight fortitude, self-reliance, and change. Lovers and critics alike will in all likelihood search for connections among her evolving career choices and the truths she has lately shared. Simply as past reports impact the authenticity she introduced to roles, this bankruptcy may additionally deepen her performances in approaches that resonate even greater powerfully. At the sensible facet, co-parenting will form her everyday life. With primary custody of Sunday and religion, Nicole's agenda will be the anchor factor for the family's ordinary. Keith, even though allotted far fewer days underneath the custody arrangement, will still play a position, and the logistics of dad and mom with international careers will require cautious coordination. Journey, vacations, and milestones will now contain negotiations in place of shared selections, a reality each should adjust to. As with every excessive profile cut up, public perception hovers over their next movements. At the same time as neither Nicole nor Keith has made a full public announcement, the opportunity of Nicole establishing up in a thoughtful interview looms. If she does, her phrases will likely deliver weight, now not as gossip, but as part of her legacy. She has long been fashionable for her beauty and candor. Now, her potential to speak honestly approximately heartbreak and resilience may want to redefine her public image in a way that inspires. Past career and custody, the personal side of Nicole's journey is perhaps the maximum full size. Divorce at any age forces reinvention, but at this degree of lifestyles, it is able to additionally offer sudden freedom. Nicole may also channel her energy into placing more impregnable barriers, deepening private connections, or exploring new innovative and romantic possibilities. A few speculate that reconciliation with Keith remains a far-off opportunity. Existence phases can shift views, but many see this as a company, definitive near. For Keith, the course forward is quieter, at the least for now. His profession keeps, however, questions on how he navigates fatherhood, sobriety, and independence without Nicole will necessarily floor. The comparison among their public responses, her quiet openness versus his silence, will preserve people watching. What are your mind on Nicole Kidman's shocking admission? Became their cut-up destined or ought to love have saved it? Percentage your thoughts inside the comments.